What's good everyone, Shurit here. So today I'm bringing you guys a a Vendread deck profile. Of course, Vendread, a deck I deeply care about. Hashtag Vendread Master Race. Remember guys, hashtag Vendread Master Race. So I asked you guys a couple of weeks ago, do you want this profile? Whoever answered, of course, said yes, because who doesn't love Shurit's deck profiles? But then a lot of you decided not to answer because you're not part of the hashtag Shurit squad. You know, the hashtag Shurit squad that's always in the intro, the one nobody pays attention to. It just sits there like, notice me senpai, and nobody ever pays attention to it. So please, for not paying attention to my hashtag Shurit squad, please give me a hashtag Shurit strategist of the Vendread in the comment section. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile and stop prolonging it so we can reach that 10-minute mark, because I love that ad revenue. So first up, we play two copies of Vendread Battlelord. Now Battlelord's a decent card, obviously has the highest attack in the deck, 2700, and you can search out Preparation of Rites because it's a level 7. Also, its effect where you zone out your opponent in your turn. Unfortunately, it's not a quick effect. It's cool. What you do is you banish a Vendread card from your graveyard, and depending on what type of card you banish, monster, spell or trap, your opponent zoned out from that type of card during your turn. I guess it's kind of cool because it can stop like evenly matched in your turn. It can stop the Mirror Forces. It can stop Solemn. So overall, really good. But the fact that it's not a quick effect really does hinder it a bit, because if it was a quick effect, of course, Vendread would have that negation as well. But what can you do? That's how Konami decided to design the card. And then it has that recovery effect where if the Ritual Summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Vendread monster from your deck to your hand and then send a Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard. So overall, cool card. That recovery is really important because recovery in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the most important things, of course. Next up, two copies of Vendread Slayer. I can never pronounce that correctly. Vendread Slayer. I don't know why they didn't just call it Vendread Slayer, but whatever. So two copies of that. It has the effect where if you attack an opponent's monster, it gains 300 attack points if you banish a Vendread from your graveyard, so it can kind of power itself up. That effect's not really bad, it's not good exactly either. It's kind of just a normal effect. It's kind of like, it's niche to be honest. But then it has the effect where it gives you a ritual spell when it's sent to the graveyard, and then you send a ritual monster from your deck to the graveyard, just like Battlelord. So it's kind of like the alternate version of Battlelord. So overall, decent cards, these two. And then the other ritual monster we play is just one copy of Vendread Chimera. Chimera is kind of like the Stardust Dragon, stopping your destruction, stopping your cards from being destroyed by your opponent, of course. And then if he's tributed or banished for a ritual summon, all monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. Now that effect's okay, but we only play one copy because it doesn't have that recovery effect, and the recovery effect is important. Plus we want to minimize the amount of ritual monsters in the deck, to be honest, because this deck searches them so easily. And to be honest, even with 5 in the deck, sometimes you will find that you do have some dead ritual monsters in your hand. So I try to make it as minimal as possible, whilst making sure we do at least get one into our hand, because I think if you play like 3 or so, you're not really going to see it too often. But if you play 5, you may see it one or two times see it too often, but it's better than never seeing it at all. So then for the non-rituals, we play one copy of Vendread Revenants. Revenants is decent if he's destroyed by your opponent's card, battle or card effect, of course. You can special summon him from the graveyard. And then the main effect is when he's tributed for a ritual summon or banished from the graveyard, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so like a Vendread monster ritual summon using him, you can target a special summon monster your opponent controls and banish it. So it has that once per turn effect. Plus that once per turn effect happens to be a quick effect, so you can use it in your opponent's turn. So if you banish Revenants from the graveyard to summon Slayer, then Slayer is able on your opponent's turn to banish one of their special summon monsters. So that is really cool. Like in a round, in one of your turns and one of your opponent's turn, you have the potential to banish 2 monsters, so that is cool. And of course it has the Vendread name. You do need that Vendread name for when you activate Slayer and Battlelord's second effects. And then the other Vendread monster that we play is 2 copies of Vendread Houndhorde. Houndhorde is decent because if he's in the graveyard, you can discard a Vendread and special summon him, so it allows you to kind of go into synchro plays, make link monsters, all that kind of stuff. So that's why we play 2 copies of it, because its first effect is better than the first effects of the other monsters. And then its other effect is when it's used for the ritual summon of a Vendread monster, once per turn you can target a spell or trap your opponent controls and banish it, and that's also a quick effect as well. So if you use Revenant and Houndhorde to summon your Battlelord, then during your opponent's turn you have the potential to banish one spell and one monster, and then in your turn you can banish one spell and one monster. So in 2 turns, in your turn and your opponent's turn, you can banish a total of 4 cards. So I find that really cool. Plus it's of course got that name as well for using the Vendread Ritual Monsters effects. And then for the other one, we play 1 copy of our Vendread Core. Vendread Core is a decent card. If you send to the graveyard, you can banish one other zombie monster from your graveyard and special summon it, banish it when it leaves the field. So again, you can make synchros with it, you can make links with it, and then its other effect, if it's used for a ritual summon, your opponent can target this card with card effects. So your Battlelord will be protected from card effects, or your Slayer will be protected from card effect. So overall, that's really good. And then finally, for the last non-ritual, that makes 5 non-rituals in total, I'm pretty sure. Yep, actually 4 non-rituals, or is it 5? Right, come on, Shurit, we know the math. Yep, it's 5. So 3 of the other ones, and then 2 Houndhordes. So we play Striges or Striges, I don't really know how to pronounce that, but if he's sent to the graveyard, you can reveal a Vendread card in your hand and special summon it. So of course another card that synchros, links, that kind of thing. And then if it's used for a ritual summon after damage calculation, if it battles an opponent's monster, you can draw a card and then discard a card. So it kind of lets you cycle through your deck if you manage to destroy one of your opponent's monsters with your Slayer or with your Battlelord. So overall a decent card, but you have to remember that you have to play enough copies of these non-rituals, of course, in order for the name, because that name is important for when you're using your ritual spell and when you're using the not the Nekroz. See, I just think about Nekroz all the time when you're using the Vendread monster effects. So that's it, just 10 Vendread monsters. Moving on to the other zombie engine. We play 3 copies of SHIRANUI Solitaire because it's a zombie deck. How can you not play SHIRANUI Solitaire? It's literally a 1-card Omega. It's so good. Has such an amazing effect, special summoning that Uni-Zombie kicking off with his effects, sending Mizuki to the graveyard, doing all them plays that are super annoying, summoning double Omega, whatever you want to do. SHIRANUI Solitaire is definitely one of the best zombie support cards ever. Then 1 copy of Spiritmaster, because the ritual spell allows you to banish zombies from your graveyard. Spiritmaster is overall a cool card as well, because when it's banished it destroys your monster your opponent controls, so more destruction of course. Then 3 copies of Mizuki, because you cycle through these so quickly, you need to use them to special summon your zombies from the graveyard. I'm fairly certain you're able to special summon your ritual monsters as well from the graveyard, because they don't have that clause where they can only be special summoned with the ritual spell. So that is overall really cool. 1 copy of Gozuki obviously sending the Mizuki to the graveyard. You only need 1, to be honest. It's kind of like, it takes up your normal summon. It's kind of an alternate if you don't have your SHIRANUI Solitaire. So Gozuki, just play the 1 copy because Solitaire is kind of better, but Gozuki does offer a bit more to the deck. And of course it's another zombie monster that Mizuki can summon off, and it can cycle through your Mizukis much quicker. Then 2 copies of Uni-Zombie, the card that lets you make the Omegas and stuff. Just be careful, because when you use this monster's second effect to send the Mizuki from the deck to the graveyard, only zombies can attack. So make sure you do have some zombies left over, like your ritual monsters, in order to attack, because Omega of course can't attack, and then you're kind of stuck with these monsters that can't really attack, and it just causes an issue. So that's it for the monsters. 20 monsters there. Onto the spells. 3 copies of pre-preparation of rites. I did say I was going to explain why we play the pre-prep, because you're probably thinking, doesn't the ritual spell isn't specific, but it actually is in a way. So pre-preparation, sure, I can't speak right now. 3 copies of pre-preparation of rites. So pre-preparation of rites, you're going to be able to add your ritual spell and your Slayer to your hand, only your Slayer, and I'll explain that later. Then 3 copies of preparation of rites, because it's the best card in the game. It's Shurit's favourite card apart from myself, because I'm self-absorbed, but 3 copies of preparation of rites, absolutely love this. Konami, keep this at 3 for all of time, because this is so good in Vendread, this is so good in Nekroz, so good in Cyber Angels. Just hashtag that Ritual Master Race though. The Ritual Master Race rituals, of course, the best type of mechanic in the game, unarguably. And then finally for the spell, I can finally explain this card now. The spell card is called REVENDREAD Origin. So Origin, what it basically allows you to do is special summon any Vendread monster from your hand or your graveyard by banishing zombies from your graveyard or tributing them from the hand. So it is really versatile. It is definitely one of the best ritual spells I've ever seen. Obviously the Nekroz ones are better, but yeah, Origin's a cool card. But because it has that other effect where if Vendread Slayer would be destroyed, you can banish it from the graveyard. It has Vendread Slayer's name in it, which means pre-preparation of rites works, because pre-preparation of rites says add a ritual monster and then add a ritual spell whose name is listed, and the fact that that name is listed in it as the protection effect is really cool, because then you can use pre-preparation of rites. The only issue with Origin is that because it banishes itself from the graveyard in order to protect Slayer, you can't really use preparation of rites to get it back, which is of course an issue, but it's not too much of a big deal, because a lot of the time you won't really use that second effect to protect Slayer that much, because you're going to summon Battlelord over Slayer most of the time. Plus, of course, you might want to keep it in the graveyard purposefully if you have a preparation of rites. And then for the other ritual, not ritual spell, for the other Vendread spell, we have Vendread Knight. Vendread Knight is a field spell. You discard a card and add a Vendread monster from your deck to your hand. I only play one copy because it's so easy to get your Vendread monsters. You don't really be wanting to add the non-rituals. They come to your hand easily. You can send them to the graveyard, of course, because they're zombies off Unizombie and cards like that. You're most of the time going to be adding the ritual monsters, but even then the ritual monsters, you got pre-prep, you got prep, so only one copy is necessary. I do play it because if you got a Mizuki in hand and you don't want to waste the normal summon and summoning that Mizuki to get into the graveyard, you can use Vendread Knights to discard the Mizuki to add a Vendread monster from your deck to your hand. And another cool thing is you can just discard a Vendread monster and add another Vendread monster, ritual monsters of course, because you're allowed to use the ritual monsters from the graveyard. You're allowed to special summon them from the graveyard. And then it has another effect: when your Vendread destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can banish a Vendread monster from your graveyard and it can attack again. So it gives it like a Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning effect. And then next up we have one more card, one more kind of Vendread card, and that is Vendread Change. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, Vendread Change, or Vendread Charge actually. Vendread Charge, you send a zombie from your hand or face up on your field to the graveyard and special summon a Vendread from your deck. Of course you're special summoning the non-rituals, not the rituals, because you have to special summon them properly before you can bring them from the deck or the graveyard or wherever you want to summon them from. Or it's a quick play spell as well, so if your opponent's trying to destroy your Vendread monster with a targeting card, targeting removal, whatever it's going to do, you can just chain this, tribute your monster, special summon another zombie, so you're not really going neg, you're getting that a zombie onto the field. So overall a decent little card. You can only activate one per turn, but we only use one per turn. Plus you can of course discard Mizuki as well, and that really is important. And then next up we play one copy of the Soul Charge. We need that recovery, of course. If you're playing a deck with a bunch of Mizukis, you want to summon synchro monsters, you're going to summon ritual monsters, you obviously want to play the Soul Charge, bring back a bunch of stuff, make a load of synchros, your opponent can't crack your board. Of course Monster Reborn, well done Konami, I say this in every video but saying it again, Monster Reborn to 1, clever business decision, not even business decision, just general decision from Konami. Bringing Monster Reborn back is really nice for the player base. One copy of Book of Life. I only play one copy because a lot of this time this deck will go first, and then it's a kind of a dead card when you're going first. Plus you have more than enough recovery with the Mizukis, the Monster Reborn, the Soul Charge. So just one copy. It's a decent card. You can of course banish monsters from your opponent's graveyard, like their Blue Eyes for example, anything like that you don't want in the graveyard. Overall it's just cool to get that out of the graveyard to stop your opponent from using that as a resource. Even like Whitestone of Ancients for example. And then we play one copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial, of course, it's a zombie deck. You want to send the monsters to the graveyard. And then finally for the traps, we play 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched, amazing card this format. Obviously it's for going second. This deck can go either first or second, so I find it important to play this card if you want to go second, because a lot of decks, majority of decks right now want to go first. This deck can play first or second because it's ritual summoning. So I put the Evenly Matched, I main the Evenly Matched because you kind of want to be prepared for going second more than first, because you take going first for granted because that's what everybody does, so you have to be prepared for going second. If you guys go first, or if you guys win the match and you want to go first, or you lose the match and you know you're going to have to go first, then of course you can side this out for playing Solemns or whatever you want to play. Then 2 copies of Vendread REORIGIN. Now this card tributes one of your opponent's monsters and special summons a token to your field with that level. So removing your opponent's monster from the field and getting a monster to your field, of course your opponent goes neg and you don't go neg because you're replacing the trap card for a token. And of course you can use that monster to tribute to summon your Vendread monsters. It does have a clause where you can't normal or special summon monsters except Vendread, but that's no big deal because you get it off the field rapidly anyways, that token, to summon your Vendread monsters. Plus just generally tributing your opponent's monster is really good. So that's it for the main deck. Of course 20 monsters, 15 spells, 5 traps, perfect ratios in my opinion. I really love it when decks end up like this, where they look really nice and they got the kind of right amount of cards. Well, there's not really a correct amount of cards to play, like correct ratio of cards like monster spells to traps, but the way this looks is really cool. And then for the extra deck, we play one copy of Crystron Needle Fiber. You don't really have to play this card if you guys are like, oh, but sure, it's not really out yet, so I want to play this deck in real life, or I don't like playing cards from the OCG, then you don't really have to play it. This is kind of just a fun card to summon, especially summon Uni Zombies out your deck, and maybe summon Lifestream Dragon, because Lifestream Dragon's a cool card if you're kind of behind in the duel and you want to get back your life points. The only Xyz we play is Castel. I don't really play Baguska because I'd rather make Omega in this deck, and I don't really want to block off my zone, and I don't really like playing slow either. I don't like stun. Like, I make jokes like stun's really fun, but I don't really like stun that much. Plus the only other monsters cards like Dark Rebellion, Abyss Dweller, and I don't really need them, to be honest, in this deck. Then we play one card that people may never have heard of, and that is Dragocytus, Corrupted Neversoul Dragon. Now, Dragocytus is of course a cool card. 4,000 attack points. You basically summon it by using Unizombie and a level 7 Synchro, so like your Clearwing or your Black Rose or your Moonlight. It barely ever comes up, but it has a really cool effect where, of course, you can I'm pretty sure it halves your opponent's monsters, your opponent's life points or something. So I think that's really cool. It either halves your opponent's life points or it halves their monsters' attack points. Please tell me in the comment section. I will of course figure it out after. But the way I do these is I just remember like the cards. I look at a screenshot and just try and remember their effects. So Dragocytus, of course, a really cool card. It's kind of niche though, you don't have to play it. It's kind of my little bit of fun. Same with the next card, which is Shiranui SUNSAGA. We have quite a bit of extra deck space, so we play SUNSAGA. It's of course kind of just for beating down your opponent, for pushing for game. Then the most important card in the deck, we play the full 3 copies of PSY-Framelord Omega. When Link format came around, I kind of thought this card was going to get limited, but it just never did, and I'm really happy about that, because Omega, of course, when you banish it, it comes back to your main monster zone, not your extra monster zone. So it does open that up for summoning more monsters, summoning more synchro monsters, because of course we don't play that many links in the deck, just the one Needle Fiber. And then we play one copy of Beals of the Diabolic Dragons. This card got a reprint in the Legendary Collection Kyber, so that is really cool, of course, because it was a really expensive card, so hopefully people can get their hands on it. Hopefully it's not short printed. I heard there's quite a few short prints in that set. And then one copy of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, cool card, destroying your opponent's monsters, of course. Just another level 8 synchro. This deck summons level 8 synchros the most, to be honest. And then one copy of Shiranui Shogunsaga for beating over like them annoying monsters if your opponent's playing Blue Eyes. I know I use Blue Eyes as an example a lot, but it is one of the best examples to use if you're talking about beating over. So if they have like a Galaxy Eyes full armor Photon Dragon or Dark Matter Dragon, you can summon this card, banish a zombie from the graveyard and get over that. Then one copy of Stardust Dragon, because we just stopping destruction generally is decent. Some people still decide to play the Regekis, of course, Dark Holes, so we can stop that, because the deck is susceptible, because the ritual monsters don't really have protection apart from Origin for Slayer, but Origin only protects Slayer, it doesn't protect Battlelord, so Stardust Dragon's another cool card. One copy of Lifestream Dragon, because we summon it off the Needle Fiber, of course. If you don't want to play Needle Fiber, you of course don't play this card, because who's going to play Power Tool Dragon and then add a level 1 tune it in to make Lifestream? Like, it's not that good of a card. It's just use Tribute Needle Fiber to summon it, because it's better than Needle Fiber once Needle Fiber's used its effect. Then for the level 7 synchros, we play one copy of Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Clearwing Synchro Dragon, I've always loved this card. I love Speedroids, I love Clearwing. It stops that monster's effect. The effect in the dubbed, I believe, Reverse Revenge, the way, you know, the cringy way they give effects to they give names to the effects of monsters in the anime or whatever. Always love Clearing Synchro Dragon. I think it's a cool card. It can stop high level monsters from targeting Masterpiece, whatever you want. If Masterpiece is like only immune to spells and traps, Clearing can of course stop Masterpiece if he tries to use his effect. One copy of Black Rose Dragon, because blowing up the field, why wouldn't you want to do that? It's overall one of the best level 7 synchros we'll ever have, to be honest. Like, that ability to blow up the field, and the fact that you've got zombies and zombies bring themselves back from the graveyard is no big deal. So even if you destroyed like 2 of your ritual monsters, you'll still have the Mizukis in the graveyard to bring back your ritual monsters, so you're not really losing out, to be honest. And then finally one copy of Black Rose Moonlight Dragon to return them special summon monsters to disrupt your opponent. Overall a really solid card. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. It was a bit longer than usual, of course, because quite a few different cards. Normally the deck profile is like 3 of this, 3 of this, 3 of this, but we kind of got a lot of one-offs in here, so it's a bit different. I hope you guys liked it. Hashtag Vendread Master Race, hashtag Shurit, strategist of the Vendread. Obviously I don't actually believe that. We believe in the Nekroz Master Race, but a lot of you guys asked for this, and it is a cool ritual deck. I do love ritual decks, so I had to profile it. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Shurit. Peace.